Okay, guys, so welcome to our conference lesson for today, Monday, the 26th of February. My name is Alistair. I'm very happy to have you all here today. And today we're going to be talking about the weather and climate. So, all about weather and climate today. So, let's get started. Let's have a look at our agenda for today. So 4 parts to the lesson today. We want introduction to the weather and climate. Number 2, factors influencing the weather. Part 3, climate change. And part 4, strategies for action on climate change too. Okay, guys, well, we are going to begin with part 1, the introduction to the weather and climate. So, definitions. Do you know what is the difference between the terms weather and climate? So, weather is the day-to-day atmospheric conditions in a specific place. Climate is the average weather conditions over a longer period, usually 30 years or more. So we use weather to talk about the day-to-day conditions in a specific place, and we talk about climate to talk about the long-term conditions. Well, we're going to have a look at some vocabulary first, and first of all, we're going to have a look at weather vocabulary. So I'm going to read through the list of these vocabulary words in English. I'm going to read through them twice just so that you can hear them pronounced and read the translations next to them. So here we go. Sunshine, overcast, cloud cover, barometric pressure, humidity, visibility, storm, forecast, thunderstorm, snowfall, dew point. Okay, well, I'm going to read through those vocabulary words again for everybody. Sunshine, overcast, cloud cover, barometric pressure, humidity, visibility, storm, forecast, thunderstorm, snowfall, dew point. Okay, so all good vocabulary words related to the weather. Well, let's have a look now at vocabulary related to climate. So, climate vocabulary. Season, average temperature, climate zone, microclimate, monsoon, drought, heat wave, polar vortex, climate change, ecosystem. Okay, I'm going to read through those words one more time. Here we go. Season, average temperature, climate zone, microclimate, monsoon, drought, heat wave, polar vortex, climate change, ecosystem. So those are all good vocabulary words related to the climate. Well, here are some other words related to the weather. We've got some weather adjectives here. Sunny, rainy, snowy, cloudy, stormy, windy, foggy, cold, and hot. So these are all weather adjectives. That we can use to describe the weather. For example, it's very windy today. Okay, so we have the noun wind, we add a y, and it becomes an adjective. Okay, it's very windy today. Okay, well, let us continue and have a look at some common questions. So we have 3 common weather questions and 3 climate questions as well. Okay, so I'm going to read through all the questions to start with. So regarding weather, what is the current temperature? Okay. Is there any precipitation expected today? How strong is the wind speed right now? Okay, well, let's have a think about some climate questions. Here we go, climate. Is it mostly hot or cold here? What is the average temperature in this region throughout the year? Are there any noticeable climate patterns such as seasons or monsoons here? Okay, so let's go back to the weather questions. For example, we've got these questions. How do we answer them? So what is the current temperature? Okay, so I could reply for myself and say it is currently 12 degrees Celsius. So it is currently 12 degrees Celsius as an example. Is there any precipitation expected today? Well, I did check the forecast for where I live, and yes, there is rain expected later today. And the last one, how strong is the wind speed right now? Well, I'm not too sure, to be honest, but I think the wind speed is approximately 20 kilometers per hour. Okay, so these are answers to those common weather questions. Okay, so we've looked at some common questions for weather, common questions for climate, and now it's a chance for you guys to take part in the lesson. Okay, would like you to take part in the chat if you want to. We've got we have 2 questions here for you to answer in the chat if you wish to participate. So I'm going to read out those questions. You can read them as well, of course. Answer the following questions in the chat. How is the weather in your hometown during the winter? And the second question, what is your favorite month of the year in terms of weather? And explain why. Okay, so let me read those questions again. If you want, you can answer these in the chat whenever you are ready. How is the weather in your hometown during the winter? What is your favorite month of the year in terms of weather? Explain why. Okay, so I'm going to answer these as well. If you guys want to take part, you can. So for me, I can say the weather is wet and windy. winter. Okay, so that's an example for me. The weather is wet and windy during the winter. Okay, well, thank you, Jean-Céline. So the weather is sunny during the winter. Oh, that's nice. Patricia, I'm living in the mountains, so the winter is cold. Yeah, I bet it is. At night, it could be very cold. For example, -5 degrees. Yeah, that is cold. Claire, the weather during the winter is rainy and cloudy. My favourite month is June because the days are getting longer. That's a nice response as well. Okay. The weather is rainy during the winter. My favourite month is May. Okay. Great. What's my favourite month for weather? I do like the summer. So my favourite month is July because it is warm and sunny and the days are long. Okay, guys, well, great participation. We sometimes have snow, but this year it rains often. Okay, so more rain than snow as precipitation there. Okay, guys, well, great. We are all answering. My favorite month is May because nature is waking up. Yeah, flowers are, we say, in bloom. Flowers are in bloom. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. Yes, it is a wonderful time of year. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, guys, we're going to continue. Let's have a look at the next slide in the presentation. Here we go. So the next part of the lesson is to look at factors influencing the weather. So weather activity. Okay, so the weather is influenced by a variety of factors, both on a global and local scale. These are the main factors in English. Here we go. Sunshine, wind, air pressure, humidity, topography, latitude, seasons, ocean currents, human activities, and greenhouse gases. Okay, so these are the main factors that influence the weather. Let's read through that list again. Sunshine, wind, air pressure, humidity, topography, latitude, seasons, ocean currents, human activities, greenhouse gases. Okay. Okay, so here are some facts. For example, have a listen to these facts. So, volcanic eruptions can release large amounts of ash and gases into the atmosphere, affecting the temperature and weather patterns. Okay. Another fact, the concentration of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere can trap heat and influence global temperatures. Okay. And our third fact, urbanization, deforestation, and industrial activities can impact local weather patterns and contribute to climate change. Okay, so let's have a listen to those example facts. Again, volcanic eruptions can release large amounts of ash and gases into the atmosphere, affecting temperature and weather patterns. The concentration of greenhouse gases, such as Carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere can trap heat and influence global temperatures. Urbanization, deforestation, and industrial activities can impact local weather patterns and contribute to climate change. Okay, well, let's have a look at climate change. So, time to reflect. Time to reflect. Have you noticed that in the last 5 years, the temperatures and seasonal conditions have changed drastically? Maybe you have, maybe not. In fact, the combination of the factors just mentioned and the industrialized activities of human beings is increasing the changes in the Earth's equilibrium. Okay, so have you noticed that in the last 5 years, the temperatures and seasonal conditions have changed drastically? In fact, the combination of the factors just mentioned and the industrialized activity of human beings is increasing the changes in the Earth's equilibrium. Okay, well, some people, the temperatures are higher, perhaps. I certainly remember when I was a child, growing up in England, in the middle of the summer, if the temperature was 28 degrees Celsius, we thought this was so hot. We thought this was incredibly hot. And now, in England, in the same part of England, in the same part of the summer, it's higher. It's in the 30s. I remember last summer I spoke to my parents at one point and they said it was 35 degrees in England. Can you believe it? So it is possible that the temperatures are higher these days and the weather is more unstable perhaps as well. Okay, well, let's continue and have a look at this new vocabulary. So I'm going to read through the vocabularies twice, have a look at those translations and have a listen as I read through the list. Burning fossil fuels, deforestation, industrial processes, land use changes, waste management, industrial agriculture, permafrost thaw, use of fluorinated gases, population growth. Okay, so we've got another comment there. Yes, I've noticed it. For example, this year we haven't had a real winter season in my area. Yeah, it's strange. Sometimes the winters now can be more mild, less cold. It is strange. Okay, well, let me read through that vocabulary list again. Burning fossil fuels, deforestation, industrial processes, land use changes, waste management, industrial agriculture, permafrost thaw, use of fluorinated gases, population growth. Okay. Okay, and here are some things to keep in mind. We've got some good English language here of things to keep in mind related to climate change. Okay, so the consequences of climate change are accelerated by human action. Well, let's have a look at some of these consequences of climate change accelerated by us, the humans. Rising temperatures, melting ice and rising sea levels, ocean acidification, biodiversity loss, impact on agriculture, social and economic consequences, water scarcity, and infrastructure vulnerabilities. Okay, absolutely. So I'm going to read through that list again. Rising temperatures, melting ice and rising sea levels, ocean acidification, biodiversity loss, impact on agriculture, social and economic consequences, water scarcity, and infrastructure vulnerabilities. Okay. So we have another exercise here. We've been expressing some opinions, okay, in the chat already. So we want to think a little bit more at this exercise. So again, we can participate in the chat. So from your perspective, from your view as a citizen, write in the chat an idea that can make a change for the environment in general. Okay, so there's an example here on the screen. People can stop buying unnecessary clothes and choose to buy second-hand clothes when possible. Okay, well, we've got one straight away. We could stop eating so much. Okay, absolutely. We could stop eating so much meat, for example. Yeah, absolutely. So guys, if anyone else would like to add, okay, great, we've got another one. People can economize water. Absolutely, we can be careful with how much water we use. I believe there are some areas in the south of France that there is a almost permanent water ban on how people use water in their gardens, for swimming pools and things like that. There's another one, plant trees. Yeah, we could plant trees. This will help perhaps increase the amount of oxygen and decrease the amount of carbon dioxide. Great. Definitely buying second-hand objects. Yeah. This could help to change this dangerous habit that we have. Yes, we are a society of consumers, and we consume and consume. Okay. And of course, by upcycling, by reusing objects, we can decrease that consummation. Using trains instead of individual cars, yes, using public transport, that's a good idea too. So these are all good ideas for how we as individuals can try to make a change for the environment in general. Okay, guys, well, great. Great participation again. Fantastic. So we're going to look at some language for strategies for action on climate change, or what we can do. Okay, so here are some strategies. Invest and promote the use of renewable energy sources, such as solar. I've got the sun coming in here, such as solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal power. Okay, so all renewable energy sources. We could promote public transportation. Okay, as Patricia said, cycling as well, and walking to reduce the reliance on fossil fuel-based vehicles. Okay, so those are some strategies. Let's have a look at a couple more. We could collaborate with other nations to address global climate changes through agreements and partnerships. Okay, so that's quite a high level thing that we could do. Certainly, we can try to put pressure on our governments to collaborate with other nations to address global climate challenges through agreements and partnerships. Okay, and then something on a more sort of individual level, we could incorporate more plant-based foods into our diets, since they require less agricultural land. Okay, so some more interesting strategies. Here are a couple more. Support tree planting initiatives Okay, we've had another thing in the chat there to plant trees. So support tree planting initiatives to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And of course, they give out oxygen as well. And the last point is about education. So raise awareness about climate change and its impacts. Okay, who do we raise awareness with? Perhaps the children, but also adults. It needs to be every level of society that is aware about climate change and its impacts. Okay. So let's have a look at a conclusion for today's lesson. So it is a fact that changes in climate and temperatures are becoming more and more evident. However, real change depends on teaching and promoting minimalist and sustainable living. Okay. Therefore, individual action is the first thing we must exercise in order to change our environmental reality. Okay. So this is a perfect world, perhaps. It's not always practical to follow these environmental points, but there we go. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming to today's lesson. There you go. Thank you for your attention. It's been great to have you all here today. It's a subject that I like to talk about, and I'm very happy that I was able to present today's conference lesson to you all. So there's not much else to do other than to say thank you very much for watching, everybody. It was great to have you all here. I have another conference next Monday, so I hope I'll be able to welcome you all back then. In the meantime, have a great week, everybody, and see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.